Hello everyone, this is Kenny from Tech and welcome back to the channel. So in today's tutorial, we are going to learn about pagination. So what I have over here is I have some data entry in my database, and they are more than exactly what we see over here. This is only 3 entries, but you can see over here we have some buttons over here, and when I click on, let's say 1, I want to see the entries in page number 1. Then I can click on 2 to see the entries in page number 2. 3 to see the entries in page number 3. I can equally also press previous. So currently we are at page number 3. So when I press previous, we are going to get into page number 2. So as you can see, we are in page number 2, and the next previous is going to send us to page number 1. So this is pagination. So in order to do this, obviously you need to have some understanding of Django, and I do have a number of courses over here. You can check it up on this channel to get started with Django. Now what we are going to do today is we are going to pick up this particular project, okay, and we are going to build that pagination functionality on top of it. So this is a video that actually builds this application, and I did some modifications into it in order to get the pagination functionality. And what I have over here is I have this GitHub repo, so I put all my codes on GitHub. So we are going to clone this so that we can straight away work with it. So if you're excited just as I am, kindly subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and click on the notification button so that anytime I release a video, you'll be duly notified. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so what I have over here is I just have VS Code opened, and we are going to clone that project I spoke about earlier on. So I'm going to go into my browser, and I'll leave this link in the description. So this is my GitHub repo, so github.com/KemBroTech. And when you click on repository, you have this project showing up over here. So this is a Django search project. So I'll click on this, and all that I need is this link over here. So I'll just come in here and do a Ctrl+C and copy it. And once I come in here, I need to come and click on the Explorer. Then I have this button over here, so I want to clone a repository, and all that I need to do is to paste the link I just copied, and I'll press enter. So it's going to ask me where do I want to put this, and I want it on my desktop, and I'll just select repository location. So this is going to take some few seconds, and it says, would you like to open the cloned repository? And I'm going to say yes, open. So it's going to open in this window, and we can start working with it over here. Okay, so what I can now do is I can now close this, and when I open this terminal, let's try running this program and see. So I'll do python manage.py run server, and the project has started running. So I can click on control and click on this link, and here we are. So this is the original project, and we are going to do some modification to it and work our way with the pagination. So I'm going to go back into VS Code. So let me just give you a recap. For those who have already watched that video, you definitely know what I did, but for newcomers, there's something you can just do with your projects, ongoing project, or you can just clone this and also work around it. So the name of the project is the search project, obviously, as you can see over here. Then we have the dashboard. So the dashboard is the app, and as you can see, we have views.py, model.py, and everything is showing up over here. What we did over here was we just did a multi-parameter search for what we had over there, and basically this application, maybe you can search a name, Kenneth, and it will just filter through what we have over here. All right, so now this is not what we want. Let's do some few modifications over here. Let's go into the templates, and the first thing I would want to do, let's go into partials and nav.html, because I'd want to get rid of this search menu over there. So I'll just come inside of nav.html and get rid of this. So I'll do a Ctrl+S, and I think we are in business. So that is gone. Then we need to also come inside of our views.py. So inside of our views.py, this time around we are not doing this query, so we don't need this. And basically we also don't need the things over here. We are going to write new logic over here. So all that I need, okay, because now that we have this way, when I come back to come and refresh, it's going to clear everything up because we don't have any query over here. So I'm just going to say data is equal to, then I can have access to this data module over here. So I'll do data.objects.all. Then I can have in a context dictionary, so having context, and my key value pair, I'm going to have data and data like this. Okay, and I'll just pass this up into the return value over here. And let me just show you, because I'm using data in my original project. So when you come to index, you can see that we are looping through for data in data. So clearly everything is going to work over here. So now when I come back and come and refresh, now we have this. So it is at this point that we want the pagination to work out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to search for Django Pagination. We are going to go to this first link over here. And this is everything we need as far as the Django documentation is concerned. So everything, or every bit of information we need is over here. So I'm going to break it down and demonstrate to you as we move along. Then also, I'd also want to get something. Let's go to getbootstrap.com, and we need to get that pagination interface I displayed over there. So let's click on all releases, and let me check the Bootstrap version we are using over here. So let me go into our base.html, and with the CDN we have over here, we are using the version 4.6. okay, so let's come back and click on version 4.6, and let's just type in pagination. So I'll click on this link, and here we are. Okay, so I think this is the one I used. So I'll copy this, and I'll come into my, let me close this and this. So inside of index.html, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a container class over here. So inside of this container class, I'm going to have a row, and I'm going to have a core md, let me do md4 over here. Then let me put up a margin y, so margin to the top and bottom of 5, and let me come back here and copy this particular one. So I'll come in here and paste this over here. So I'll save this, and if I'm to come back here and come and refresh, this is what I have. Okay, so let me put it a little bit in the middle, and I just have to come in here and do an offset -md, let's do 3. All right, now these are things I do as far as Bootstrap is concerned, and very soon I'll release a video on the new version of Bootstrap. So here we are. Good. And let me just put out let's say a text over here. So inside of this paragraph, let's say I have page 3 out of 3. Now this is obviously something static, and we are going to see how we can make it dynamic. Okay, so this has to come here. So I'll cut this, and let me try and put this over here and see. Okay, so I think this is okay. Okay, so this link is disabled. Okay, so let's work on this, and we just have to come to the previous what we have over and just take away this disable class, so that it becomes something we can click on it. Okay, and let me see. Okay, so I think we need to add in another class. So this is supposed to be an href. Okay, so there's no href over here. It's supposed to be an href, and for now let's leave it blank like this. So when I refresh and come back here now, this a hyperlink we can click on. All right, so now let's work with this pagination. And when we come into the documentation, there are some few imports we need to run over here. So let's go into our views.py. Right inside of my views.py, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some imports over here. So I'm going to say from Django.core.paginator, I want to import a paginator class over here, and this paginator is capital P. So all that I need to do is to create in or instantiate the class. So I'll create in an object and I'll do paginator, and I'll pass in the data I have over here. Originally this data is fetching everything, but this time around I'm going to pass in another attribute over here. So as you can see, it says the object list. That's the first parameter, and the second parameter is per page. So how many object list do I need per page? How many entries do I want per page? And let me say 3. So this means originally this page has about 9, 11, 20 items over here, depending on the kind of data set you are working on. But what I want, based on what I've implemented over here, is to have 3 entries per page, so that I'll click on the next to send me to the next page. So right over here, what then we can now do is we can pass in the page over here. So instead of just data, I'm going to change this to page. So when I save this, now page is being passed in the context. Unfortunately, when I come back to come and refresh, everything is going to disappear, because based on the logic we have in our index.html, we have data and not page. So I can now see for data and page. Let me do page over here. And when I come and refresh, now we seem to, or we are supposed to see something over here, but we are not seeing it. And I want to go step by step, because this is very interesting. So now remember, when we were typing what we had over here, it was expecting us to, let me see if it is going to pop this up. It was expecting to see an object list, okay, but we decided to give it a different name. So what we then need to do is to come in here and say for data in page.object_list, and this is going to make it work. Okay, so when I come back here to come and refresh, now you have this data showing up over here. We are supposed to see 3 entries. All right, so now let's continue. What I can now do is I can now do something interesting over here. I need to come and now call in the page list. So I have a page list over here, and I'll do request .get, and what do I want to get? I want to get a page. So this is going to be a variable we are going to pass in at some stage. Then let's overwrite the page we have over here. Then all that I can do, or all that we need, is page.get page. So you're going to call this .get page, and all that we need to pass in is a page list that we are getting from a GET request from our browser. So if we do this and come back into our browser and come and refresh, you can see that we have only 3 entries over here. All right, so now we are done with something. Now this is exactly what I did. So basically this is what I imported, okay, and this was some kind of arbitrary data in the database, and the paginator has been instantiated. He used a variable, or they use a variable p, and everything over here is exactly what you are looking at. So now you can get the page counts, the page numbers, the page range. There are lots of methods in there that we can use. Now we are going to look at the ones that are relevant to what we are trying to do. So in order to proceed, the first thing I would want us to look at is what we call the page number, okay, so, or the number method. And the relevance of what you want to do as far as that is concerned is to look at these numbers changing here and there. Okay, now what I have over here, if I'm to do a / and I do a question mark and I bring in page is equal to 2, and look at the entries over here. We have Kenneth Bruni, Kwame Nkrumah, and Kwame Abibio. When I do a question mark, page is equal to 2, and press enter, you can see that the entries over here has changed. When I do same and do page is equal to 3 and press enter, the entries has changed. So this is changing based on the request that we are passing in here, and that's exactly what we have over here. So this page is what I had in over there, and once we pass that into the page list is going to return the number of items on that page. Good. So let's look at some few things over here. Now with this numbers, we want to see if you're on page 1, if you're on page 2, and things of that sort. So what I can do over here is I'll come into my index.html, and over here what I can do is I can do page.number, and this is going to return the number on which we are on, okay, or the number where we are. So clearly we are now on page 3, okay. So when I hit on this, we don't seem to see anything over here. There's the first number over here. That's going to change actually. So when I do page is equal to 1, now you can see that this has changed to 1. When I do page is equal to 2, you can see that it has changed to 2. So that's with the number method that we can call on that particular object we created, and that's what we have over here. The page is what we are getting from the page list. So if you do page is equal to 1 and you want to call the number, it gets it for us. Now you can do the total numbers. So this is going to be like the total number of pages we have. So for the total number of pages, let's come in here, and for that we just have to do, I mean, it's very simple. We have to do page.paginator.num_page. So this is going to give us num pages, sorry. So this is going to give us the total number of pages we have in our system. So when I refresh, obviously we are not going to see any change over here because the number of pages is 3, okay, and initially I typed in 3 over here, but what we have over here is now 1. We can now have 3 out of 3, and this is quite dynamic. All right, so now let's look at how we can add in the links, and when we click on this, something should happen. So that's also very simple. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and this is supposed to be the previous link, okay. Now what I'm going to do is going to be very simple, but please pay attention. So I'm going to come in here, and just over here I'm going to bring in a for statement over here, or sorry, an if statement. So I'll say if the page dot has previous, so underscore previous. So there's a previous method in here, and I think a demonstration was made over here. So this is a previous method. So what I'm trying to say is if it has a previous page, then show this link, okay, else you don't have to show it. So I'm going to end my if over here. So end if. So if there's a previous link, you show this, else you don't have to show it. And what I need over here is a link to that previous page if there's indeed a previous page. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put out the link, and as usual this is going to be the URL, and I need to type in the URL name I gave it over here. And let me just come in here and go into urls.py, and the name I gave it was index. So I'll copy this, come in here into my HTML and bring index over here, but I'm not quite done. I now need to bring in the question mark like this, okay, and the page is equal to this that I was typing over here. I need not to type it over here, okay. I want it to reflect once I click on this. So that's exactly what you have over here, and we need to link it up with the previous page. So that's going to be page dot previous underscore page underscore num. So that's going to be the previous page, or like the previous page number. So that's going to be the previous page number. So when I save this, obviously because of my extension, you can see that it has been formatted over here. So when I refresh this, we don't seem to have any problem over here. Now when I click on this, you can see that it has now changed. We were previously at 3, we change to 2. Now when I click on it again, we are now back at 1. Now because there's no previous page after or before 1, the link is not showing up, and that's exactly what we wanted, because if there's no previous page, there's no point showing that link, and that's exactly what this was implementing. So if it has a previous page, you show it. If not, then you don't have to show it. So let's do the same thing over here. So for the next page actually, so I'm going to say if page dot has underscore next, and I'm going to end it over here. So I'll do end if like this, and what I need is similar to what I did. So I'm just going to put out the URL over here, and I'm going to have the index, and right over here I'll do the question mark, and I'll bring in page is equal to double curly brackets, and just as I did over here, I'm going to say page dot next underscore page underscore number. All right, so this is similar to what you have over here. So page dot previous underscore page underscore number, and then next is next underscore page underscore number. So when I come back to come and refresh, now next is showing up over here. When I click on this, you can see that the previous now comes because you're on page 2. When I click on next again, we're on page 3, and page 3 is the last page. So clearly you see that there's no next page after page 3, so we don't have anything. And as you can see, what we have over here is also showing the kind of, or the page on which we are, and the data keeps changing as well. Now the next thing we want to do is to look, so far what we have in the middle is quite static. Okay, nothing changes. Now I want to, if we're on page 2, we want to see this highlighted on page 2. If you're on page 1, for instance, as we have, we want to see this primary color on this page. All right, so let's quickly look at that as well. So back into our VS Code, and this is what we have over here. So I'm going to run some loop over here, but before then, let's just clear what we have over here. I think we need, okay, so the current page has an active class over here, so that's what we want. So let's just clear this for now. That's with the page 1, and let me put up a loop over here. So I'm going to say for, and I'm going to call or creating a new variable. So for num page in page dot paginator dot page range. So there's a page range method over here, and what I want to do is I would want to end the for loop over here before I continue with anything. So I'll do end for. Okay, then I'll come in here and I'll add in a class. So what is class? Sorry, I'll add in another logic. So I'm going to say if the page dot number, and we've already seen page dot number. Page dot number is what we use to call in the number on which we are on. Okay, so if the page dot number is equal to the num page we just created over here based on this loop, then we would want to show this. Okay, so let me also end the if statement over here, and I'll do end if. Okay, but I just want to show number 2 because as it stands, when I save this, okay, and come back here, we are going to run into some problems over here, and it's obviously because of the extension I have over here. So this has been joined and it is looking crooked. So if you don't, or if you are not using this extension, I think you are good to go. But with mine, I just need to break it so that everything looks organized. Okay, then I think over here too, I need to break it so that I don't run into that problem. Okay, so that's being said, that being done, now we are cool. So now when I click on previous, we're on page 2, everything is showing 2. nothing changes. Okay, everything is showing 2, and that's because we are just displaying 2 over there, but that's not what we want to display. What we want to display now, as far as this number is concerned, is we want to have what we have here as the num page. So when I save this and come back here and come and refresh, now you see that we're on page 1, so this 1 is highlighted. When I click on next, you're on page 2, and now 2 is highlighted. When I click on next, you're on page 3, 3 is highlighted. Now clearly you can see that there's this 3 showing up all the time, and that's because we have it over here. So this 3 is what is showing all the time. So let me just get rid of this, and now when I save this and come back to come and refresh, now you're on page 3, so clearly you see 3 over here. You're on page 2, so 2 is highlighted, and you're on page 1, 1 is highlighted. But I want to have the other pages also showing. All right, so what I also want to do is I also have to change the link over here, because we also want a situation where when we click on this link, it's supposed to send us to that particular page. So in order to do so, I'll just have to come in here and repeat pretty much what I did. So URL, and I'll bring my index over here, and outside this I'll bring in my question mark, and page is equal to, and over here is going to be equal to the num page. Okay, so the num underscore page. Okay, so this is good, and if I'm to refresh, this is now not a dead link. When I click on it, it's taking me to that particular page. So now let's bring the other pages next to it, and that's very simple. All that we need to do is to just copy this. Okay, so I'll do a Ctrl+C over here, and before we end it, I just want to bring in an else statement over here. So I'll do an else, then we paste this over here. Then all that we need to do is to take off the active class. So now if we are not on the current page, this should just display and just show me the number. So when I come back to come and refresh, now you can see that we have 1, 2, 3 showing. Okay, now we're on page 2, so you can see that page 2 is now the active, or the active class is on page 2, so this is highlighted. Now when I click on previous, we come to page 1. Okay, when I click on 3, it takes me to the 3rd page, and you can check over here the URL also changed alongside. And when I click on page 2, it works, all the links are working. And obviously when I click on previous, we worked on this. The first things we worked on was this. So clearly you can see that everything is working over here, and this with the pagination. All right, so this is going to be the end of this video. If you find this video interesting and very useful, then I'll urge you to kindly subscribe to my channel and look out for more educative content of this kind. Thank you very much, and bye bye.